Thanks for coming back. Next, we will hear music by three prominent Brazilian composers who were part of the movement to create a Brazilian national culture early in the 20th century. This post-colonial nationalist movement was inspired by the visionary leadership and writings of the Brazilian poet Mário de Andrade. And he organized in 1922 the Week of Modern Art, which of course included music. He urged Heitor Villa-Lobos to lead fellow composers in exploring Brazil's indigenous music as well as that of the musical contributions of over 5 million West African slaves that were brought forcibly to Brazil. Francisco Mignone and José Siqueira, like Villa-Lobos, were important figures, not only as composers and performers, but as educators, adding greatly to Brazilian musical culture throughout their lives. It turns out that Siqueira has a connection to the Yale School of Music. In his activist days in the early and up to about the middle 20th century, he worked tirelessly in Brazil to support young Brazilian musicians in their studies. And two of those young Brazilian musicians were the conductor Eleazar de Carvalho, who was here for many years, and Aldo Paraso, who was here for about a century. The two of them have left an invaluable legacy here at our school. So it's amazing how these connections exist. You'll likely recognize the melody of the cantilena that starts the second half, even in this rendition for 56 feet of bassoon tubing. It is always a treat to have an excuse to perform for you with my amazingly talented Yale bassoon studio, originally for soprano and orchestra of cellos. This has been arranged by me for solo bassoon and 6 bassoons. The 5 songs for voice and bassoon that follow, like much of Mignone's music, are written in the Brazilian style. Although Mignone's parents had moved to Brazil from Italy just a year before he was born, Francisco embraced the culture of Brazil and not that of his Italian heritage. The first 3 songs date from the early 1930s. If you look them up online, you can find original recordings of soprano and piano if you put his name in and the title of the composition. They're very charming to listen to. The last 2 were written in 1976 when the versions for soprano and bassoon were created for the fine French bassoonist Noel DeVos, who had emigrated to Brazil after World War II. Because of that friendship, we have a number of pieces that include bassoon. There are 16 waltzes and a concertino, which I recorded on an album, and in fact, the cantilena, which we will be playing for you, I recorded with our guitar colleague here, our guitar teacher, Ben Verdery, on an album called Bassoon Brasileiros. And anyway, I know you're going to love these 5 songs. The first time I've gotten to perform them, when you hear the beauty and just vivacity that Jana Batty brings to the vocal line. José Siqueira was born in 1907 in the inland area of Paraíba in northeastern Brazil. His music often features characteristics typical of folk music of that region. Sweet Sertanejo is a fine example of this style. I have expanded the original version for cello and piano into a trio with flute and bassoon writing, for flute, bassoon, and piano, excuse me. The piano part remains unchanged. The original cello part is the basis for the flute and bassoon writing, with a few doublings for us to play along with the piano thrown in for fun. I'm thrilled to have my dear friend, Tara Helen O'Connor, who is our new flute professor here at Yale, joining us for the first performance of this new transcription. Thank you all again for being here and listening in today, and thanks to my students and colleagues for their beautiful artistry. Thank you.